The Shakeman Show, right here, WNYXradio.com.
It's time for Classic Album of the Week with the Shakeman, brought to you by Precision Guitar Tech. Need some guitar repair? Visit their Facebook page or give Mark a call at 215-280-3903.
This excerpt was taken from part
Recorders, I believe.
You can listen to the entire invasion of
The Village Recorders, I believe we did all the basics there. And the Invasion was the Village Recorders, I believe we did all the basics there. And I think on Invasion, this was the one where the record, we were in the studio, we were in the middle of it. Marshall, the manager, picked up the phone and called me, and he said, we just got a tour of Japan, but I have to take the band out of the studio to do it. Now, that was complicated for a number of reasons. Number one, at this point, since I'd had some success, I had time allotted for Rat, and then I had backup projects all on my schedule. And so it was going to interrupt that. It was going to interrupt the flow, and it was just going to be bad for me. And so I said, okay, then here's what we're going to do. You can take the band to Japan, but I'm going to take the record back to New York so I can sleep in my own bed, and I'll finish up all the junk I need to do at Atlantic in New York. And then when the guys are finished, whoever I need will fly from Tokyo to New York, and everybody else can go home. So I went to New York, and I did, all the junk that I needed to do. I had a couple of weeks worth of work, comping, cleaning up the tracks, just getting everything ready to go. And then Robin flew over from Tokyo, and I finished some stuff with him. And I think Steven flew over as well, and I finished some vocals with him. Juan didn't come, to the best of my recollection. So anyway, it actually worked out really well from my perspective, because I didn't have the whole band there over my shoulder making me crazy while I was trying to mix. So Robin was the only one that stayed as the band's emissary, but Robin was always very cool. He'd chime in and he'd say, well, how about this or whatever. But generally speaking, he knew that what my method was, and that was like, everything is going to suck until it doesn't. And I'm going to try various experiments and EQs and reverbs, echoes, whatever and I'm going to have like a 90% failure rate, but the 10% that we wind up with is going to be pretty close. And that was my process. And so a lot of times, when I was experimenting on Cellar, the guys in the band would come in and they'd hear me doing something crazy, and then it was like, no, that's all wrong. You can't do that. So it was just very distracting, and it really cut into my workflow. But Robin understood that, and so he kind of stayed in his hotel until I picked up the phone. We got him a hotel right across the street from the studio. And I pick up the phone, I call him, I say, okay, now I need some ears. I need you to come over and talk me off the ledge here and help me, tell me what's working and what's not. So that record worked out really, really great because of that.
And how long would you say it took to record that? All in all,
that record took a while. Oh, and we also started working at Enterprise Studios in Burbank, which is where we did all the horn parts for wrong album. The Cool Junior was number 4. Yeah, so we're back in New York, and I mixed it in New York. And we mastered everything at Sterling, so that was right across the street in New York as well.
So probably about 3 months, or did it take longer than that?
That one was probably had a 3-month window, I'm pretty sure, because obviously at that time, we didn't really have any budgetary restrictions, although I still did a budget. But Atlantic,
yeah, I'm sure
they just let me do whatever I wanted.
Right. What did you spend on that record?
I couldn't tell you, honestly.
Welcome to Classic Album of the Week. Our Classic Album of the Week this week is Rat's 1985 release, Invasion of Your Privacy. Released on June 13th, 1985 on Atlantic Records, produced by Beau Hill. This is the band's sophomore album, their second album, which had to follow Out of the Cellar, which was Rat's first album, which kicked major ass. And the reason why I picked Invasion of Your Privacy, both albums are phenomenal, but the reason why I picked Invasion of Your Privacy at this time is it is very hard, and a lot of bands back in the day, if they came out with a successful first album, couldn't really reach the charts with that second album. It was very, very difficult to do. Well, Rat pulled it off, and this album is just as good, or even maybe just a tad better than Out of the Cellar. And, that's why I chose this album. It's a great, great album from beginning to finish. I would not pick a classic album if it was not a great album that you can put on and just listen to from first track to the end. It is a great, great album. It had 3 hit songs off of it, which was Lay It Down, one of my favorite Rat songs, You're in Love, and What You Give Is What You Get. 3 major hits coming off this album. The track listing on this album is, like I said, phenomenal from track 1 to 10, beginning with You're in Love. Number 2, Never Use Love. Number 3, Lay It Down. Number 4, Give It All. Number 5, Closer to My Heart. Number 6, Between the Eyes. Number 7, What You Give Is What You Get. Number 8, Got Me on the Line. Number 9, You Should Know By Now. And number 10, Dangerous, But Worth the Risk. Stephen Pearcy on lead vocals. Robin Crosby on lead guitar and back vocals. Warren DeMartini, phenomenal guitar player, lead guitar and back vocals. Juan Crozier on the bass and back vocals. And Bobby Blotzer on the drums. Invasion was a great album for this band. It peaked at number 7, which was actually the same position that Out of Cellar was when Out of the Cellar came out. This met most positive reactions from fans and critics. Like I said, following a great successful first album, very rarely did you get that kind of exposure after a first hit album. DeMartini and Crosby's impressive guitar solos on this and Pearcy's highly sexual lyrics helped to further define the Rat sound from this point on. Although it did not achieve the sales and figures on the status of the debut, Invasion of Your Privacy nonetheless was certified double platinum, selling over 2 million copies, and remains highly regarded amongst the Rat fans. A couple months after the album's release, the band released a home video titled Rat the Video. The video featured the music videos from Rat EP, Out of the Cellar, and Invasion of Your Privacy. The video is currently out of print and is very, very difficult to find at this time. I did own that at one time on videotape, I believe. The video was the first commercially available video to certify gold sales status in U.S. and eventually reach platinum. The album also featured a Playboy model on the front, playmate Marianne Gravette, who also made an appearance in the Lay It Down music video. Using a beautiful female model on the album cover later became a trend copied by glam metal bands of the 80s. A lot of bands followed that trend after they seen this album cover. Then we had all that bullshit, which if you listen to the beginning of my intro of my show, all the bullshit came out with Tipper Gore and her organization about putting labels on albums, explicit lyrics and all that bullshit. But you all know what happened with that. So on September 19th, 1985, dealing with all that bullshit and the inappropriate content and all that, the band toured extensively in the United States and Japan, sharing the stage with the likes of Bon Jovi, Ozzy Osbourne, and even, believe it or not, Iron Maiden. In August of 1985, the band played on the Monsters of Rock Festival in Castle Donington, England, along with ZZ Top, Bon Jovi, Metallica, and Magnum. The band went on for a successful tour that year, and the band's success continued throughout the years going through the late 80s. Invasion of Your Privacy is a phenomenal album. Out of the Cellar, yes, another phenomenal Rat album. And like I said, it's very hard to be able, after a first successful album, to be able to have your sophomore album either match it or even better it. Is very rare back in them days, and Rat pulled it off. Ladies and gentlemen, Invasion of Your Privacy is a phenomenal album from beginning to finish.